and the brand new Zelda game headed to Wii U.
Hello everyone, I'm Zeltik, and today I'm joined by Conrad from the Commonwealth Realm to do a sort of analysis or discussion video based on the new footage of Zelda Wii U we got during the last Nintendo Direct. So without further ado, let's get into it. Is there anything in particular that you can see that catches your eye in this initial shot, Conrad?
Well, it's obviously the vast grassy plain which we see resembling, as well if you close it in, the grass which we saw back in Wind Waker, which makes sense with the cell shading technique and all implemented in Zelda Wii U. Mm-hmm. I must just say that the detail seen in this opening scene is just staggering, and you can even see small details such as flowers, birds, small rocks in the distance. The draw distance is incredible. Yeah. You can see the small flowers there.
Yeah, right there.
I also love how the hair works on Epona.
Yeah, the physics.
The physics, yeah.
You can see it's physics-based and not animated. So then we get our first sort of shot of Link, and obviously the first thing we notice is his sword. It's massive. It's been discussed previously, but he has a great sword, and it's crazy. I mean, look how long that is. That's pretty much as tall as Epona if you took it.
Yeah, we're talking about Big Goron's sword length, if not even longer.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest swords we've ever seen in Zelda, along with Big Goron's sword and Fierce Deity's sword, and that's pretty much about it.
Yeah.
It looks massive. And here we can also see Link's quiver there. And it's also got green tips on the little arrows. Not tips, it's sort of got green ends to the arrows. And this suggests that it's either normal arrows or bomb arrows, as these are the only two arrows other than the special arrow we've seen, and they had red tips on the arrow feathers. So it suggests that at this point in the game he either hasn't got the special arrow or is out of them or whatever. Either way, he's not carrying one of those arrows.
I would believe that the special arrow, or the energy arrow, is a rather rare item found in the game. So we saw just one hit can take out the giant mini-boss.
One thing I notice is his satchel here on the side of Epona has also changed design. I'm not sure whether it's a different satchel, or a sort of an upgraded satchel, or they've just literally changed the design of it, but it used to have a blue bit, whereas now it's got a red bit, and I think it's slightly darker in colour. The design on it, I'm not really sure, I can't really see, but it's almost like it's got a bird with wings. It's sort of a winged design on it. We can see again he's got this strange cloak design. I don't think that's changed from the first time we saw it. No.
The cloak looks to be the same.
Yeah.
It's difficult to tell because of the shield is covering.
Yeah, and the cloak no longer clips through the shield like it used to.
No, it doesn't.
So that's nice. And he still has this travel pack with what seems to be a bedroll on Epona's back.
Probably for setting up camps or...
Yeah, that's what I think.
Or bonfires.
Mm-hmm. And it seems you stop Epona in like a similar way to like Ocarina of Time, where she rears up to stop it, like when she stops galloping, pretty much. And here, you probably noticed, but we've got, again, the flock of birds that Epona manages to scare away.
Yeah, it's an astounding attention to detail in this game. In previous Zelda games, you have mostly had attention to details in terms of temples and locations on walls. Mm-hmm. But this time they will put a lot of attention also to the details in the overworld, which will most likely be the main area of the game, because previously in Zelda games, the open world, or partially open world, was more about just hubwards, getting from one place to another. They want you to actually experience the overworld this time.
Yeah.
But one thing worth noticing is the shield,
I was going to say, we do need to talk about Link's shield.
Correct. The shield is definitely an upgraded wooden shield, based on the one we saw in the E3 reveal in 2014,
and
the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So that suggests that this probably, and of course the sword and the bow, which we'll get back to, suggests that this is taking place a little bit later, at a later stage in the game.
Yeah, it does look a lot sturdier. The sort of iron bands around the outside are a little bit thicker and darker in colour, which is similar to how when you upgraded a shield in Skyward Sword, it looks a little bit meatier, and perhaps it'll work like the upgrade system in Skyward Sword, as in this shield can take more hits before it is destroyed. Yeah,
it's definitely... it looks like it's stronger than the one that you started with.
And what about the design? Have we ever seen this design before? I can't think of a single time I've seen that before.
I don't think so. And the reason for this being, it could have some ties with when you upgraded your shields and swords in Skyward Sword. You also changed the pattern, which didn't have anything to do with the first one or the specific location. Because many speculated that the first shield, which looked like an eye, was connected to Sheikah, and in this case the Sheikah tearing eye, and we all know where they are from, Kakariko Village. So this shield, it doesn't remind me of anything. You might correct me, Zeltik, but
no, there's nothing I can think of either.
I don't think I've seen that design before.
No. There's also the design we can see on the handle of Link's sword. I can't think of any time I've seen something similar to that, but it's nice detailing that we can see.
Yeah.
And also you can see here that the bow, it's clearer in a later shot that we'll get back to, but you can see that the bow has a slight reddish colour this time, as opposed to a distinctly wood and metal appearance that it's had in previous times we've seen it. So this either means that it's a redesign of Link's bow, or it's an upgraded or entirely new bow.
It's true. I would believe it's an upgrade. The reason for that being, why would Link have such a giant sword in the beginning of the game?
That's true. Yep.
It doesn't make sense, and we are in a completely different location.
We start having a shot of the landscape, and here's something I pointed out in my initial analysis. Up here in the top left, this is something there's been a lot of speculation about, because a few people have noticed it. And general consensus is it may be a sort of teepee tent or some sort of hut. I'm not really sure what to make of it. Obviously, we've only got about 5-6, pixels of yellow, and then a little, what could basically be a rock. So it could potentially be a campfire or something, but it definitely stands out from the, surroundings. It's definitely not natural. There's something there.
It's also located on the top of a rock, which suggests that it is trying to fend itself from any outer dangers, which I would believe that there's an NPC living there. You can go and visit him, and he probably will give you a quest of some sort.
Yeah, I like that idea. So it's potentially some sort of camp. We just get more shots of the landscape.
If you look at the trees surrounding this area, it looks a little bit suspicious to me. It could either be a location for something, let's say a grotto, a mini dungeon, or maybe something else, because it looks a little bit suspicious, this area, from what I see. Seeing that the tent is located on a rock, unreachable rock at top, might suggest that we will be able to climb in Zelda Wii U. Because I don't see any other way of getting up there, apart from climbing. In Wind Waker you had the grappling hook, which might make a return in Zelda Wii U. We'll just have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Aonuma did say that they were changing how items would interact with the environment in this game. So perhaps having a grappling hook that could actually allow you to scale mountains in the world would be a good way to do this.
Absolutely.
Grassy area, and then here, very close to Link, we've got something that I think is some sort of ram or some similar animal.
This looks similar to the goat you had in Orden Village in Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
very similar design.
Yeah, I think it's definitely
Of the horns, and the head looks rather similar.
And then just beyond that, down there, we've got a lake that's, a forest that's situated in a lake here. And then here's something quite interesting. There's this little wood here, but then up here there's a lone tree.
It's really hard to tell. I don't want to get too far into speculation, but
No.
it might be a specific tree that holds some specific fruits or items, since you probably will have to, in this game, you'll probably not have hearts like you had in previous Zelda games. Instead, you will have to pick up fruits to restore your health.
Miyamoto did say that you could pick apples from trees.
So I believe that the hearts will probably not appear in this game.
Okay.
And you will have to restore your health through potions, through apples, and through some other means.
That's an interesting idea.
I think they want to give some sense of realism to this world.
Mm-hmm.
And having just hearts coming up is of course a staple in Zelda, but the reason why it was implemented back then is completely different to the days today, because no RPGs, no other games do have hearts just go and pick it up. You actually need to physically use them in order to replenish your health. And that makes me believe that we'll have different fruits that will have different attributes in terms of restoring health. Some will restore more health, and some will restore less health.
Obviously, we have Death Mountain up, looming in the distance, like in every single footage we've seen of Zelda Wii U. Death Mountain has always been present, and here it has quite a big presence, and we can see they've updated the design of it, or perhaps we just got a better shot of it here than we have done before, but you can actually see lava running down the edges of the mountain, quite similar to... it reminds me a lot of Grumble Volcano in Mario Kart 8, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, the lava looks already from a distance great. Remember how far we are from this, from the volcano. It would probably take you on foot from here 10 minutes or so to get, or even more, 15 minutes or so to get to the top of it. So, the fact that they are highlighting Death Mountain and the longsword might pinpoint that the Gorons will be making a return in Zelda Wii U.
Possibly, I would very much like that.
We know they are brilliant sword makers, and I wouldn't be surprised if this has anything to do with the Gorons.
No.
Because this is the closest take we have of Death Mountain to this point.
So the next thing that actually sort of, I can notice that sort of takes my interest is we've got a tree that's, or something, there's a little silhouette on top of this mountain.
It looks like a little object.
Yeah, some people suggested it was like a figure's silhouette of a person, but I think, judging by the distance,
that's
too
tall.
not reasonable.
It's too tall to being a person.
So potentially it could be a tree, or one of the watchtowers that we've seen previously that are present in this game, similar to the one at the start of the Game Awards footage. So it could be one of those, because they do seem to be present around the world for sort of, you can climb up there, get a very good view of your surroundings and set beacons like we saw the Game Awards footage. Obviously the sun's setting this direction, the sun's setting over here, and then Death Mountain is, it's setting, the sun's setting behind Death Mountain, meaning Death Mountain is almost due east of us.
Okay, I see. So
we have to be somewhere in this sort of area.
Yeah, then we might be...
I think potentially somewhere around here.
Yeah, I would agree. And it also makes sense.
That's backed up by the fact, I know we're skipping ahead here, but if we skip ahead to the shot where we just get Link, here, on the left, next to the mountains, we get a very, very flat, sort of blurred line here that looks like the horizon. But I theorise that that's the sea, and if we're standing here looking this way, and then this final shot ends with the camera looking that way at Link, and we can see the sea.
It will make sense. It would make sense.
So that's where I believe we are.
Yep.
And then here we have a little body of water, and that's the one full of the trees that we see.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Down there. That's where I believe we are.
Yeah, and you also have the hill.
Oops. And oh, actually up there we can see a bird, which is nice. And here we get the best look of Link that we get. And obviously there are quite a few things to notice here, such as the best shot we've got of the great sword that Link has, potentially Big Goron sword. And also this little book.
Let's call it longsword for now.
Let's call it okay, call it longsword for now, even though it's far longer than a longsword. And it's far. Look at how wide the actual blade is. It's massive.
Yeah, it's huge. I have no idea how
like a
Link.
Claymore, sort of.
I have no idea how Link is carrying this thing around. That is definitely for ground combat against huge enemies, and that could suggest one thing: the enemies in this game will be on a completely different level than what we have seen in other Zelda games.
Well, so far we've seen bokoblins, which are pretty much a standard, and one massive sort of arachnid Beamos sort of enemy. So half of the monsters we've seen in this game have been gigantic.
And this suggests one thing, Edward. It suggests that there will be areas that will be way more difficult than the other areas.
I hope so.
So why would it otherwise have a sword of this type?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the swords you can pick up from enemies in other Zelda games, such as the swords you can steal from Koloktos. Is it Koloktos or Kolkatos? I'm not sure.
Koloktos,
yeah. So this sword looks like it's going to be fun to use, but I can't really think of where he'll have got it, whether he's bought it or found it or forged it. I'm not sure.
And one thing you also can notice here is the ground.
Yeah.
It's identical from Wind Waker. When you slice off the grass, you'll see the bare ground, and it looks close to identical here.
It really does.
It was this thing that made me believe that this grass is taken straight out of Wind Waker, probably Wind Waker HD, and just enhanced.
There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about this little book that's on Link's hip. And for some reason, I didn't pick this up in my initial analysis, probably because I was still, crazy with hype. But there's very obviously the Sheikah tearing eye on the front of the book. So we've got a Sheikah Artifact straight away in Zelda Wii U. I reckon it's, like I've said this before, and I reckon it's something to do with the Book of Magic from Zelda 1 or something similar.
Yeah, this game has a lot of similarities to Zelda 1. But that one would require an entire video.
Yeah, hint.
Hint, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's definitely it holds resemblance to the Sheikah tearing eye.
Oh, well, it is the Sheikah tearing eye, I'm sure. And it's also, it appears to glow, and that's why I think it's got some sort of magical properties.
It has magical properties, and I would believe that this is a confirmation that the Sheikah will return in Zelda Wii U.
At least,
and the question is,
their artifacts.
Will Impa be the only Sheikah this time, or will we have a civilization for the first time?
Exactly. It's also been pointed out, which I find very interesting, by someone in my comments again, I'll have them on screen, that obviously his tunic design has changed, but also the white outline in the centre is almost exactly that of the Master Sword.
Yeah, I would agree, it's definitely the Master Sword.
Whether that's just some sort of Easter egg, or...
Yeah, that is definitely the Master Sword.
Yeah. So guys, thanks for watching this video. I managed to lose the very last few minutes of this discussion somehow. The audio sort of corrupted, but anyway, there wasn't much important stuff, so you've got the gist of it, basically. We analysed the Zelda Wii U footage that we've got so far. Thanks for watching this video, please subscribe if you liked it, and be sure to check back for more content on this new footage and Zelda Wii U in general. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.